Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video of the F1 2021 Driver Career Mode with Mercedes, episode number 34 today for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix of Season 3, round number 2. I will one of these days pronounce that correctly. I do apologise. Yes, if you missed the previous episode at Bahrain, the opening round of the season, we're going to go and check that out. Of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. See plenty more Driver Career Mode episodes. I want to say a huge thank you, by the way, for all the support shown on the opening episode as well. You guys absolutely smashed it with the views on that one as well. So yes, thank you. But anyway, moving to R&D. I mean, we've got Spec 3 and everything, which is absolutely amazing. Drag reduction is all maxed out. Now, front and rear downforce, I'm not entirely sure about. And I'll explain that more in tomorrow's episode about that. Sashi, in this particular episode, we're looking at maybe either a weight reduction or weight redistribution upgrade as well. And we're actually going to put an ultimate weight redistribution upgrade. That's going to catch us up with Ferrari as well, who have the fastest Sashi overall as we come into Monaco. I could try and rush it, but I decided it's an expensive upgrade. I mean, if it fails, it's gonna cost us overall 4,500 resource points. So I just decided to play it safe. We have got some bigger gaps in the championship coming up. For example, up the run between Monaco and Azerbaijan, as well, of Hungary and and then the next one after that, I think bigger gap is like Hungary and Belgium. So. As well, though I think there'll be a gap between Austria and Britain, or Canada and Austria rather, excuse me. So there are some gaps, so we can hopefully fit some R&D in. But speaking of the R&D chart, rather the R&D performance, indicator, obviously we're still ahead, the fastest team on paper, although judging by the opening round of the season, that's not the case. Maybe on paper, but on track we didn't look like it, as Max Verstappen and Red Bull, spoiler if you haven't seen already, won the opening round. Ferrari have gone slightly ahead of Red Bull by about a pixel, as well. McLaren, they were looking good in season 2 and the opening season as well, or season 1. But they seem to have lagged behind. So they need to get some more R&D upgrades. They want Ricciardo and Norris up there. Williams are now trying to escape, and they might be coming into play in the latter half of the season. So we'll have to watch them closely. But yes, we move to Imola then for qualifying. So this is going to be interesting. I've not qualified in this car. I've done 2 races on this track so far. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do, bearing in mind also, and there's an issue with the car for the second time in a row. This is what happens at Mercedes.
Right, a little bit of an electrical problem at the moment. We're working on it now, so don't worry. We're going to get you out there as soon as possible.
So yes, this is my fastest lap then. To be honest, it's not a great lap. I'm not yet up to tune with this circuit, to be honest. A little bit too much curve there through turn 1. That corner I quite like, although make sure you don't go too wide of the gravel. This corner is the noob's worst nightmare because the braking assist doesn't work there. We've gone level with Gasly. We're down in P10, so not great. Up the hairpin though, that was a better exit for me. Moving up to the right then. This corner's easy, just make sure you don't run a little bit too wide there. Pull to the left hand side. This corner you can always, or everyone goes wide through this corner. You've got to make sure that you don't go onto that blue part, otherwise you will get a warning as well, and your track will, depending on how corner regulations are as well. The hairpin, the little chicane rather, is actually very flowing. Just depending if you've got a setup on. And then the final 2 corners, this final corner actually had a little bit more of an issue of if you go a little bit wide in some of my practice runs, but they managed to get it done, and in the end it is P8. We set the fastest final sector as well, so we do have pace in the final sector. It's just the opening 2 sectors. This is my traditional pace, to be honest. Fast in one sector and slow in the other 2. 6/10 off Leclerc, only 4/10 off Hamilton. We have been slower, so yes, we've got work to do, but there is signs of promise. Nevertheless, though, it's time for the race for today's Emilia Romagna Grand Prix.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track here at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One circuits as it's driven anti-clockwise. Let's hope no one forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight of the circuit and its only DRS zone. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Ricciardo, Stroll, Carlos Sainz and Hamilton, Norris and Mercedes, Russell and Pierre Gasly, Giovinazzi, Perez, Fernando Alonso and Vettel, Ocon, Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher and Guan Yu Zhou, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
I mean, I think we're going to be aiming at top 10 finishes every season. It's just we want to really be aiming for a top 5 finish, maybe top 4. New track, not really. We're a little bit up against it here, so we'll see what we can do from 8th place on the grid. 5 red lights, and away we go. And it's an okay start. We're going to switch to the left-hand side of Lando Norris as well. We're actually almost a little bit of banging tyres with him. We're going to try and see if we can get Norris at turn 1. No, he's going to close the door on us, and we have to retain P8. There's a little bit of taking a little bit too much curve in there. We are going to get a better exit. Try and pull to the left. We're going to swoop to the right hand side here. Can we get the inside Norris? No, we can't. Unable really to get Norris as the 2 Red Bulls are slowing everyone up along with Leclerc there. Dive down the inside of Norris and Hamilton. In the end, we do get Norris, not Hamilton, unfortunately there, but here's a replay then of that move. As I say, I didn't. They were going so slowly into that little hairpin up the hill there, but you can see there Leclerc does lead. Not for long though, because Leclerc actually had front wing damage off the start, and we're now ahead, going side by side with Hamilton. We give him a lot of room. There's a slight bit of contact with Hamilton. But I think we're okay, and he obviously took the corner up the curb, but that was obviously simulation damage, and Hamilton unfortunately had to pit, so Toto Wolff will be banging his desk as Norris comes back at us now with a bit of DRS. A little bit of a twinge there with the cars as we're watching the race lead there change hands. Lance Stroll was leading after contact with his teammate. We'll get a replay of that in a minute, but Daniel Ricciardo has taken the lead now ahead of Lance Stroll and Carlos Sainz. But here's a replay then. Christian Horner will be banging his desk because the 2 Red Bulls have made contact. Now that was enough contact for Verstappen to come through into the pits, jump to the end of lap number 8. We're going to be coming into the pits for our one and only stop to a set of medium tyres. Mercedes obviously at the front of the grid, as reigning constructors champions. Although it would be nice in the game, as we ghosted halfway through Alonso there. Would be nice if the game moved the pit positions around between seasons. But there we go. It's the safety car. has been deployed. So what's happened to the safety car? Oh, Russell's had a crash with Norris. So Russell must have come back at Norris, and well, the tyre wear must have crept in for Norris because Russell was behind as well. So, well, to clear out that debris, that means that Stroll has jumped Ricciardo in the pit stop. So Stroll is now back in the race lead, ahead of Ricciardo in the Red Bull. Sainz is third. I'm fourth, ahead of Verstappen, who has fallen behind with his front wing change, and Leclerc. Both of those two will be fighting for best of the rest, as we're now going to see if we can get Carlos Sainz on the restart. Then he's slow off the restart. Stroll tried to leave it down to the line. It's so close to the right hand side between the wall and Carlos Sainz. Around the outside, we take a little bit of curving, trying to give Sainz some space. We're going to cut across him and get up into the podium, P3. Sainz isn't going to give up on there. I think Stroll and Ricciardo are going to run away for P1 and 2, unfortunately. Don't really have the pace Imola to be able to challenge them. Sainz had to go ahead at the chicane, but unable to position us. We're watching our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who's down in like P11, although not anymore. He's made contact with one of the Alpines, I think that was Ocon, and drops to the back of the grid. That's a disappointing day for Lewis. He's not had the best of days, to be honest, as we're watching now Max Verstappen, who has front wing damage. I think after squeezing out Sainz, Sainz made contact with Verstappen, and Verstappen is in again. As Mick Schumacher in the blue Haas car, that Haas has decided that this got no cardboard left, and Mick is out of the race with an engine failure as well. But up ahead then, Daniel Ricciardo is chasing down Lance Stroll for the second time this race. Can he get this victory, or will it be Stroll? It looks like one of these two is going to win. Ricciardo around the outside of Stroll. Comfortable DRS move for the Australian, and moves up into P1. Multiple race winner so far, as well as Sainz moves back to try and have a look at once again into the chicane. It seems where he gets the best run as well, but he has such a horrible exit through the chicane that it takes him a whole lap. If this is the final lap, he's going to try and go around the outside into the penultimate corner. We're going to retain the inside as we go around the final corner, then up to the line. Daniel Ricciardo has won the Imola. We, though, come across the line for P3. It's another podium, so the consistency is there. I wasn't expecting the podium. The pace was poor, to be honest. And might be a little bit of a setup, but also the car a little bit slidey as it was in Bahrain. As well. Again, I'll elaborate that on tomorrow's episode because it's worse at Portimao. So yes, unfortunately the pace really wasn't there. That I might need to refocus on the setup. Ferrari, you might have felt that both Ferrari and Red Bull really should have won this race. They seem to be the fastest team on the grid. Mercedes and myself, you saw how, even before we were battling Lewis, we're only like P4, P5. So we don't overall, although I am leading now the Drivers' Championship with consistency with Daniel Ricciardo in second place, neither Mercedes nor McLaren really have the pace. It's actual fact the Red Bulls and Ferraris are the fastest on pace. So interesting to see if we can out-develop them, but it's very tight in the championship. I will say that. It's getting ridiculous as well in the Constructors' Championship, where 6 points separate 4 teams. So Williams are sort of doing FP5. I think they could be a dark horse for season 4. Yes, as I say, Portimao as well tomorrow, as well, and then we'll be targeting victory in that little trio of races from Baku, Canada and Austria. So all of that is to come in the coming weeks. But then if you have enjoyed this video, then leave a like, subscribe channel, and you see plenty more F1 2021 driver career mode videos as and when they come out. Until the next video, then I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.